Hello and welcome back to another video. Today here again on Forza Horizon 5 to take a look at another brand new addition to the Forza series, which is this Hyundai IONIQ 5. All you have to do to unlock this new addition is complete 20 points of this week's festival playlist, which is the autumn season, which you can see I have more than completed by doing the trial, the 2 event labs, the playground games, the 2 seasonal championships here, the photo challenge, the collectibles, and the 2 monthly rivals. Another thing we can win in this week's festival playlist, and I'm not making this up, is a velvet shark outfit, which as you can see we can put with a surfboard next to our car with the clever new photo mode update thing. This Hyundai IONIQ 5 is essentially a smaller version of the IONIQ 6 that we got at the beginning of the year, which means this is also electric. This one though, unlike the 6, is the N version of the 5, so it produces 641 horsepower and 770 torques. However, because it's electric, unfortunately it weighs more than a small oil tanker at 2,214 kilos, which is just stupid for a car this small. It was also super obvious this weight when I was driving the thing. Coming into a corner it really didn't slow well at all, and the back kept trying to overtake the front, with all of that weight going into the first corner at the end of this long straight particularly. Overall it has a rating of A756 from standard here in Forza Horizon 5. Now, under normal circumstances and where I was driving it at the track, this vehicle is all-wheel drive, as most electric cars are. However, you can switch it into its rear-wheel drive mode if you want it to handle like it's on a frozen lake, and this is something we can do in Forza as well, and, well, it makes it undrivable basically. From standard there's only one manufacturer colour, this sort of grey blue, but this is the iconic Hyundai N colour, so it's probably what I would have wanted on the car anyway. Over in the upgrade shop it's kind of similar, there aren't many options. You can upgrade your motor and battery to give 833 horsepower, or you can swap it completely, which gives you 1,893 horsepower if you want this thing to be absolutely insane. There's also your usual Forza Aero, which I'll skip over quickly because it's hideous, although the wing isn't quite as bad as some of them. All of your usual tyre options, tyre widths, and track width, which will make it sit slightly nicer than it does from standard. There's also your driveline options and diff options. If you take full weight reduction out of the car, you can bring weight down to 1,730 kilos, but my worry is, whatever you do with this thing, it's going to be too heavy to be useful for anything. So at this point, I kind of already knew this car would not perform well in A-Class Open. Nevertheless, I went and applied a K1Z barb tune and loaded into a session, joining for the first race of an adventure at the Los Jardins circuit, with only 2 other racers. The Supra pretty quickly decided not to race, and eventually left the session, and somehow the F40 didn't beat the Hyundai in the race or on lap time. Somehow this car had won its first race. Secondly, it was the Emerald circuit, where there were again only 2 other people, and again, after a not particularly interesting race, the Hyundai won. Finally, we went to a sprint route, the Reservorio Sprint, with an unbelievable 3 other cars. I was surprised to find I was 3rd by the first corner, and not last, to be honest. Anyway, into the twisty part, I could see some kind of chaos going on ahead, and when I caught up to the Ferrari, they indeed did put me straight into a wall. I then stupidly retaliated, pushing them into a wall, and we ended up playing dodgems for the rest of the race, which dropped me all the way to 4th. A shame really, I should have had a clean sweep of victories in this one. So at this point you're probably expecting me to say that this car is actually good, or at least better than I thought it would be, but not really. It wasn't a pleasant thing to drive, feeling incredibly heavy still, and somehow still very loose at the rear as you went into corners. But not predictably, it was just a bit odd really. And, well, there were only ever 3 other people in a race, so there's not really a lot to go by there. And honestly, it didn't feel fast. I really don't know how it won either of those first 2 races, even with that few other cars. And that is going to do it for today's video, taking a very first look at the Hyundai IONIQ 5N here on Forza Horizon 5. From standard, it's kind of a cool thing. I do really like the way it looks, actually, and it's one of the few electric cars I do quite like. However, I still can't forgive such a huge weight for such a tiny car, and the oversteer into the corners was interesting, so it kind of shares all the problems that a lot of electric cars have. Upgraded as I expected, it wasn't great, although it did win 2 out of 3 races, mostly because there was basically no other cars in the lobbies. As ever though, do let me know your thoughts on this brand new addition to the Forza series, but for today's video that is going to be all, so thank you very much for watching, and I will be back with the next one very soon.